Hitting the fade easy or no?
No, I haven't really been hitting fade
Much at all, okay. Yeah. With the tendency to have the chest always leading and to have the hands and the club come down, you know, with that steep look. Yeah. The cut always worried me because of the fact that, well, a better athlete tries to hit the cut by actually going more out to in rather than using the setup to do it, right?
No,
So,
I mean, definitely play better when I hit draw.
Yeah, and you know what though? But the good news is, a guy your size and a guy, a little tiny one, but a guy your size and how you hit it and your strength, we got to get that ball tipping just right too. Yeah. You know what I mean? On command. Yeah. Without having to come in steep. Yeah. Okay, let's watch it today. Let's really get it down. Come on back here. Couple things here, buddy, okay? Couple things. So let's actually zoom in on this a little bit more. All right, there we go. That's good. One thing I want you to watch is relative to your target line. I want you to watch your shoulders. They're getting a little bit closed. Okay. Most people go open. You, in fact, are a little bit closed. The reason a draw is so much easier for you to hit right now is you can see, look at the ball is actually a little bit back. Okay. Okay, now what's happening? Okay, if ball's back, we know immediately our chest is gonna have to face back there a little bit more. So you're addressing a golf ball that should be here. Basically, it's there. You're addressing it there with your upper body. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just that ball positions puts you here, which now here's the thing. If you're hitting a draw, heck yeah. Okay. Like that's a little recipe. Yeah. You know, in the days working with DA points, I used to love DA, had this real tiny butter cut, you know, butter draw, just beautiful, never overturned, right? Yeah. And I watched him. He had a very stock standard place he'd put his ball position. Draw, he just, that thing would go a little back fade. That thing was a little forward, right? Very, very, very simple. Path was, but it's not just what it does to the path by moving the ball back and forward. It's what it does to the shoulders also. That's the train track of your swing. So if I'm looking at a 9-iron, ball's a little ahead of center, just a little. But here's the thing. I'm not sitting back to that ball. I'm bumping my hips up, posting that up a little bit more. Okay. And now the ball just gets a little bit in front of my center, my upper body. Yeah. Now that'll neutralize the path. It'll also start the club back a little bit straighter because your shoulders will be more square rather than being here, taking it in here, and then having to correct it. And if you don't correct it, just underneath and you're trying to play a little draw, which is, you know, so let's watch this. And it looks good, Joe. I mean, there's like a lot, it's like I said, it's not far off. It's just, to me, it's setup stuff. Okay. And not having the ball back, having the shoulders close, and a little bit of weight on your back foot. Okay. Now, you know, let's see here, relative to where that ball is, you've actually turned behind it nicely, right? Yeah. It's hard to move into it, though, you know what I mean? Yeah. When that ball's back there. So I think that's one of the things you'll see there is just trying just to catch the arms up. Yeah. Because the body's already in front of the ball that's back there. Yeah, so let's just get a T pattern down. Because here's the thing, this is good for our viewer who's probably wondering, hey, you know what, how much weight distribution with a 9-iron would be on your front foot as opposed to your back foot?
I need to just set up this station every time I hit balls.
I think you should.
This is a good station.
So guys, we have one for ball position, and really his weight distribution, that's the one between his legs. So that helps.
This thing's like ball position, but it also like, I feel like I can just kind of like move a little bit to the inside of that.
We obviously have the one for alignment. I like them hitting relatively in the same area, especially when you have something set up behind you, right? So that one right in the middle is for ball position. That's also going to help him with his weight distribution, knowing how to get the hip bump ahead of that. I'm going to go just far enough away where it's not going to affect your downswing. Okay. But I'm going to keep this guy, take the club back real quick. You see that? Yeah. Okay, so just far enough away where it doesn't affect your downswing, kind of in between the golf ball and your feet. You know, relative to a grip, you know, almost, you know, a grip and 3/4 to almost 2 grips off the ground. You know, just for the viewer, the backswing's wider, the downswing always comes in more narrow. So I set this up in a spot where he won't even have to worry about it in his downswing. But in the backswing, it gives him a gauge of how to get the club out in front of him a little better. I'm just putting us in the realm of what
I should like hit these off tees so I can keep it in the same spot.
Keep it in the same spot, you know, and you know, that's the thing. People are quick to criticize mats. If you can find mats that don't hurt you and they're not sitting there on cement and feel like they're rock hard, well, guess what? You can stay in one place. And I know that people think, well, what am I going to put it in back here? You can be creative. You can put range baskets and thread them through range baskets. You can put a styrofoam box with like a little bit of put some golf balls in there to weigh it down and stick the thing through a box, or I should say a cardboard box. So there's ways to put things behind you even when you aren't on grass and can stick it in the ground. How much weight do you feel is like right or left, like where you were? Is it like 50-50 or like?
I don't know. It feels 50-50, but maybe.
Maybe it's a little more over there. Yeah, and with a 9-iron, even though we're keeping that sternum just on the back of the ball, that lower body engages a little bit to the left. Okay, and to me it should be a good 60-40. Even
to the left?
To the left.
Okay.
And with a 960, even 65% on that left side.
Yeah.
Okay. Watch the starting line now, and then watch the ball flight as a result of this. It should start a hair more left. It should stay straight. Good. That was so good right there, buddy.
It's crazy how much that feels like. I'm like,
Okay,
I feel like I'm
okay.
pointing at the umbrella.
Okay,
Dude.
look how the umbrella is at 45 degrees away from where he's at. So right now he's feeling his takeaway feels like this, but what we're seeing is just really, really nice and dead straight back. Oh, dude. Come on. That's how it should work right there.
Yeah.
That's so much better.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's good.
Isn't that cool? So basically it just takes that club and now it's just square, flying straight. Very neutral, so he can do what he wants with that now with simple setup changes. Mike actually said this, and he said this when we used to watch Bo Hostler when he was an amateur. Bo was just, he always looked like he had one arm.
Yeah.
Cam Sisk, one arm. It looks like they have one leg and one arm. Because when you're filming from behind, you don't see the left leg, whether it's there or there. You don't see the left arm because it's just not there, like so many get, or there. So those things right there are good to look at. If you're looking for a straight, square setup. Now watch this. First takeaway. This is early. First swing of the day. Now watch this guy. Feels like he's going towards the umbrella, 45 degrees away from him. Yes. And we're going right up the forearm. And it's the big one here, guys, for anybody watching this and, for dads helping out their young juniors especially. This is the one thing you just don't want to let a player get away with. That butt of the club pointed above the golf ball. We refer to it as the golden triangle. It's basically, we got that from a coin from Hogan's book with Ledbetter, where they define the club being set, in front of your hands and body, as I say, and the ideal spot being that 6 inches inside the golf ball to the edge of the golf ball.
Yeah.
And it just, from there, you can turn to the top, and believe it or not, the golfer who typically gets a little bit, that's money right
When you say do that like hip bump
Yeah.
thing, how much
Come over here.
how much do I do it? Because I know you've told me before, like it's not like forward where it like closes things. It's just like kind of like to the back, like kind of like diagonally to the back.
You're asking a question that a lot of people need to have answered right now because they, let me phrase it like this first. I'll tell you how to do it, but then I'm going to show you. I'll tell you, if you don't immediately feel like this hip bump is promoting a better turn,
Yeah.
you're doing it wrong, right? There's the way that people go like this, where they shift it this way, and it slides over, and then it restricts it. There's the way where people really open their hips when they do it, and they go this way, and that just kills it, right? But how about just keeping it square, understanding that if I was standing dead still right here, straight up and down, I tell everybody, get straight up and down and get to the width of stance you need to be. So if I'm hitting a wedge, the outsides of my feet are to the outsides of my shoulders. Now, if I'm hitting an iron, middle feet to outsides of shoulders, and if obviously the wood insteps to outsides of shoulders, that affects the way that hip bump feels. Because now with that 1 inch hip bump, the weight distribution's different, right? Yeah. So here's the big thing. Let's go wedge. Outsides to outsides. Now ready? I'm keeping this dead still. This doesn't move. And I'm simply keeping my hips square and I'm moving it back. Now, when I do that, it feels to me like my femur right here gets right on top of my, when it's narrow, on top of my knee and on top of my foot.
Yeah, I got you.
And that right knee just pops right inside the foot there like a little brace. We go a little wider, like for a 9-iron, we got more middle feet to the outsides of our shoulders. I love just the standing up straight, keeping these dead square. So you can literally put a club right across your hips, and then you're just going like this, keeping your sternum in place. You don't have this slide with it. You just move them 1 inch to the left.
I got you.
And it just keeps it so simple. It engages the inside of the right foot a little bit more, sets a more identified post on the left side. The biggest thing about creating that post is it's creating angles, a post and a brace and a spine angle, that are allowing you to turn behind the ball without swaying, and then watch right around that fixed point, but then cover the golf ball and get on top of it without sliding.
Yeah.
So no sway, no slide, but my chest is working literally from instep to instep without ever having lateral movement. When you go here, this falls and the club falls this way. Rather than for you, when you rotate, the arms would then get more out in front of you. And that would, does that make sense? Yep. I mean, that is just so good. Gosh, that ball flight's so good, buddy.
Yeah.
You see how I even brought it like a little bit more, just a little bit tighter, a little flatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's super, super good now. I mean, the takeaway just not going so sucked in.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It straightens out that flight completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so setup. This angle, we're just making sure our feet and our forearms and shoulders are square. We were a little bit back with the ball position, which was obviously getting us this way, and then taking the takeaway inside. So immediately when we got the right ball position, it squared up our shoulders and our forearms, which then allowed us to take it away in front of us easier. Do we still have to be aware of the takeaway? Absolutely. So, you know, the station, that's what that whole station is right there. No, this is good. I love how he's watching, but this is my buddy Brett Tomko. Brett pitched for, but hold on, I'm gonna get this right. 21 or 22 years in Major League Baseball?
15 in the big leagues, 20 professional seasons.
20 professional seasons, awesome. That's awesome.
Another friend come, Jack Wilson, he played for the Pirates, he's coming.
Is he coming?